Okay, this is going to be my first annotation video. By annotation, I just mean that this one is going to discuss some of the topics that are in the micro etude for the page. In this case, there's a series of topics that I was thinking about when I wrote this little exercise. Just kind of going over what I'm thinking about them and what I'm working on myself. You are quickly going to realize I'm not a professional mandolin player. I am a virtuoso musician on percussion instruments. I have a doctorate. I teach music theory all the time at St. Louis Community College. But I picked up mandolin a few years ago because I wanted to work on my ear, which it has done a really good job of helping me with that. And then I realized 2 or 3 years ago that there was a classical mandolin society. I was thrilled because all of my experience with reading and ensemble skills and all that, like I get to do that on mandolin now, which is, I really enjoy playing from the page as well as playing by ear. But you're going to see I don't have a lot of, I'm developing these videos as a means of teaching myself how to play mandolin. So I'm trying to do that myself without a lot of private lessons or anything like that, just because I kind of want to see where I can get and what I can do with it. So the first micro etude, these are just short pieces that are designed to be looped so that you can work on a passage, work on a technique in a setting that's a little more musical than just a boring exercise. So the first concept is like 2-1-2. We have a wide interval here, a narrow interval here, 2 frets, 1 fret, and then 2 frets. So there are only a few configurations that your hand can get into while you're playing most of the time. So I'm trying to train for all of them just to practice and get a little more comfortable. So on the 2-1-2, you could just do exercises like this. Still working on getting every note to speak and trying to make all the notes legato. Those are some things that I'm always working on. Trying to get a dark tone quality. Trying to control my pick and put it on the right string all the time. So I would start with something like this. My main goal with this one was to get my left hand to fit into this shape, the 2-1-2 shape, on the fretboard without any tension. I've noticed, this is true of all instruments, every instrument I've ever studied, and I've studied a lot of them. Tension is the enemy for having good tone, for being able to move freely around the instrument. And if you haven't thought about what tension is before, it's a really simple concept. If I have tension in my elbow, for example, what I'm doing is I'm contracting the bicep up here to pull my arm up. At the same time, I'm contracting the tricep to extend my arm out. And those two groups of muscles are pulling on opposite sides of the hinge, which is my elbow. And they're not doing anything. They're not, because they're moving against each other, they're balancing each other out. It's exertion, it's muscle use that's not actually accomplishing any motion. It's just making you tired and making you not able to play. So concentrating on going through where tension is in all parts of your body, and specifically in the hands is where you're going to see it first, is a really important concept on any instrument. And I'm trying to use these exercises to make myself just touch hard enough to get a seal on the note. So here's the open string. If I want to get this 2nd fret, when I first touch it, I get just a mute. As I push a tiny bit harder, you can start to hear a little bit of tone come in, but it's not a good quality yet. And then I push a little bit harder, and I can get, once I get to my clear tone, any extra pushing that I do does nothing. It's more tension, more work. But anything beyond that point right there is just wasted. Therefore, I'm working really hard to get my left hand not to push any harder than just as hard as it needs to get a seal on that note and get a good tone out of the instrument. I realize that most of you that might see this video are, if anyone sees this video, most of you are going to be way ahead of me as far as technical skills. So I'm going to point out things that I have found that are helpful to me. You know, maybe I'll find one that you haven't heard before. I'm still experimenting with where my thumb is. I think that I'm going to want to be comfortable in two positions with my thumb. One is this kind of putting the mandolin neck right there, and then just kind of cradling it while my fingers do the work. This works really well for this sideways hand position. I have found there are some times when I want to be square, kind of more like a guitarist, that I want to be able to play this way too. A good friend of mine who's a classical guitarist said when he saw me play this way that he likes to be on the tip of his thumb because he wants to be able to reach farther, and that you definitely can reach farther when you're up on top, on your more closer to the tip of your thumb. Okay, so obviously this first micro etude is concentrating on, in addition to the 2-1-2 thing, it's also concentrating on grace notes because I just want to get better at all kinds of ornamentation. Especially the pull-offs with the pinky are really tricky for me, and you'll notice on my recording as well as, you know, whatever I'm playing in this video, you'll see that my pull-offs, especially for the fourth finger, are really weak. So that's what I'm working on. That's why this video is not played by a professional. I'm kind of hoping someone who is a better player than me will record a video of them playing it so I can watch and learn also from more experienced people. The groove part of this one I am comfortable talking about. This one's a little bit unusual in the sense that so we have this kind of a feel. The danger on playing this is that you'll shorten the third note, as I mentioned in the text there. So that would be, instead of doing triplet, like an even triplet feel, I'll just do the first bar. Instead of doing the triplets, you might get this sound. If you're getting da 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 dee da, that kind of a sound, then you're doing the 3-3-2 pattern. Try to get them to be even without the grace notes. Should just be straight 1 E A 2 E A 3 E A 4 E A 1 E A 2 E A 3 E A 4 E A 1. And if you're hearing that last note shorter, then you're not playing you're not getting the triplet, the even 3 triplet feel that's supposed to be what quarter notes sound like when repeated in a 6/8, 12/8, 9/8 kind of a time signature. Thanks for watching. I hope this is helpful, and if you have any topics you're working on yourself, I would welcome you to send me a request. I'll try my best to write some original materials on. I want to learn all the topics and I want to cover them all. So if you have something you'd like to bring up, don't hesitate to send me a message. And thanks for watching.